right, excellent. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining me today. My name is Phil Drendel, and I am here for the MS in Management or MSM Program Overview webinar from University of Notre Dame Mendoza College of Business. Um, a little bit about me before we get started. I am born and raised here in South Bend, Indiana, where the University of Notre Dame is located. I was an undergrad at Notre Dame. You see here on the left, we have a picture of the Golden Dome covered in snow. Actually, last night we received some snow and it looks beautiful on campus right now. It's not too cold right now, not too much snow, but I was a psychology major at Notre Dame. I was a member of the marching band. As you see here, I was a tuba player, taught myself how to play tuba because I wanted to go to football games for free, travel with the band. And so I had a great time as a student at Notre Dame. However, as a psychology major, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do after graduation. At that time, there wasn't a program like the MSM. So I decided that I was going to use that opportunity to teach English. So I moved to South Korea. You can see the third picture, the Seoul, South Korea skyline. I was an English teacher for about 9 years in South Korea, from as young as preschool and kindergarten to a university professor for a few years, and even working on the administrative side at a university. After about 9 years, I decided it was time to come back home. So I moved back to South Bend, where I began to get my master's, and I worked for Mendoza College of Business as an intern at start, but I've been working with Mendoza for almost 2 years now as the assistant director of admissions and the lead recruiter for the MSM program. So that's a little bit about me. We're going to go ahead and dive into a little overview on the University of Notre Dame. So Notre Dame was founded in 1842 by Father Edward Sorin. A group of priests came to the university or came to the United States, and they wanted to found a university that was going to have an impact on the community. You see here the quote, "the most powerful means for doing good in the country." So they actually started in central Indiana and moved their way up and started here in South Bend, the university, in 1842. Currently, we have about 12,000 students, 3,000 of which are graduate students. And then the Business School was founded in 1921 by John Cardinal O'Hara. We presently call it the Mendoza College of Business. And again, it has this mission of changing the world and being a service to mankind. You see the quote here, "the primary function of commerce, of business, is service to mankind." And we really believe that at Notre Dame Mendoza, our students will be able to grow the good in business. You see here above my shoulder our motto of growing the good in business. And we truly believe that business is a source of good in the world. Currently, we offer many top-ranked programs, undergraduate business. The rankings just came out. I believe that we are ranked number 6 or number 7 for undergraduate business. Graduate business, executive education, we currently have a variety of different master's graduate business programs. In addition to our program, we have our Masters of Business Analytics, Masters of Finance, Masters of Accountancy, Master of Nonprofit Administration, and then our MBA programs as well. So that's just a brief overview here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so that you can see the screen without any distractions right there. And just a little bit about, growing the good in business. I mentioned that there was this idea that we needed to grow the good in business, and something that we really believe is important to our students. So here's our quote from our current dean, Martin Kremers. "We're committed to our mission to grow the good in business by developing leaders who contribute to human flourishing, cooperate with others in solidarity, and compete toward becoming the best version of themselves through serving others." You'll also hear from Dean Kremers his 3 C's. He talks about them a lot, his various ideas for business. So the first one is to contribute to human flourishing. serving others in response to all the gifts we have received, through which we ourselves flourish. The second C is to cooperate. And our third C is to compete. We really hold these values to, to our students. We've tried to follow these in all aspects of the program. You can see this a little bit here with our close-knit community, our network strength, experiential learning, global opportunities, ethical foundation. So I'll do a little bit deeper dives into these. So as far as close-knit community goes, at Mendoza, we are a very collaborative program. It's a little bit different than other business programs that maybe aren't as collaborative. We do a lot of group projects. We do a lot of presentations, a lot of learning together. You are split up into cohorts, and I'll kind of talk about this a little bit in the future, but this is so that you have this strong knit community with your classmates. As an MSM student, you'll have the opportunity to be a part of the community with other members in Mendoza, with MBA students, with MSA students, MSBA students. It's really this strong sense of working together and growing the good in business. Network is another big thing at Mendoza. We stress networking all the time, and there's a good reason for that. At Notre Dame, we are currently ranked number 4 globally in network efficiency. We have over 270 alumni clubs around the world. Whether it's Mendoza network, Notre Dame network, or an MSM network, we help you tap into that, not only in order to grow your professional network, but also from a personal standpoint. A lot of our students will say they've met their best friends in the MSM program, lifelong friends, that not only will it help them grow their career, but also, they go to each other's weddings and they see each other 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road. Experiential learning. We understand that the information that you learn in the classroom is only one portion of what you learn in the MSM. You need that hands-on experience in order to solidify the concepts that you gain in the classroom. And so we allow our MSM students to have this hands-on experiential learning. These are primarily found in our interterm intensive weeks, and I'll go a little bit more in depth on what those look like and what that even means. But it's basically a chance for you to be able to use what you've learned in the classroom with your fellow classmates and apply them to real world settings, because we believe that's the best way that you'll be able to actually learn and apply in the future what you've learned in a professional setting. We also offer some global opportunities. We currently offer our international immersion trips. This year looks a little bit different, honestly, because of COVID. It's difficult for us to travel internationally, but in a traditional year, and we're hopeful that next year will be another traditional year, we've offered 3 locations for these international immersion experiences. We've had a South America trek with Santiago, Chile, and Buenos Aires, Argentina. We had an Asia trek with Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and Shanghai, China, and then a South Africa trek with Johannesburg and Cape Town. This year, we are still having an international immersion experience. It will just be conducted virtually. And actually, we're looking at getting in contact with more countries, with more businesses abroad, because we are able to communicate virtually, to still give our students that international exposure and the opportunity to kind of compare what they've learned in the Mendoza classroom with how business is run internationally. And then the ethical foundation. As I've already gone through our mission statement, but we do have a business ethics course, but this ethical foundation is more than just one course. It's something that really flows throughout our entire curriculum and the community aspect. We talk, for example, about ethics in accounting. Accounting is very much numbers-based formulas. You may be asking yourself, how can there be ethical accounting? But there is a right way and a wrong way to view data and to apply what you've learned from accounting and data. And so we want our students to be able to have those difficult conversations, to be able to look at injustices and issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and really make a change in their communities. A brief overview of the MSM program. So we are an 11-month program. We begin in June. Typically, orientation, I would say, is the second week of June. Last year, we started around June 14th for orientation week. And then the following week was when classes began. So we do ask that you are ready to attend our full-time program by mid-June. If I know all universities are on different schedules. If you are not able to graduate or get your degree conferred by that mid-June date, we would ask that you look at a different program, simply because our summer is so intensive that even missing a week or two can be, a big detriment to the overall arch of your learning. So mid-June is the start date. Our class size, we're actually growing our class next year to around 90 to 100 students. Traditionally, we've had between 45 and 50 students. However, last year, in response to COVID and the pandemic, a lot of students were looking to further their education. The job market was such that it was difficult for undergraduate students to find full-time positions, extra years of NCAA eligibility, and the hopes that students would want to get some business to kind of blend with what they learned as undergraduates to move forward and hopefully find a career that encompasses both of those. We are a program that is designed for non-business majors that are hoping to combine their undergraduate degrees, whether it was an arts and letters degree, a STEM degree, with the business skills they'll gain in our classroom to then start their professional business career. Our current class, we have around 86 students. I would say about 35 to 40% of them are from a STEM background, and the rest come from an arts and letters background. We talk here about cohorts, and I mentioned the cohort structure before. So even though we're growing the class size, we still break you up into cohorts of 45 to 50 for that close-knit community feel. And then that cohort is broken up even further into learning groups. Before the program even begins, you will be grouped with others who maybe have some complementary skills to you. So for example, if you are an engineering major, we trust that through your time as an undergraduate, your quantitative skills should be pretty strong as an engineer. You may be grouped together with a communications major who has done a lot of presentations and public speaking. And you also may be grouped together with an English major who's done a lot of papers and things like that. And you may be grouped together with a pre-med major who is able to look at things from a different perspective and some other analytical and critical thinking skills. The idea behind these learning groups is that business is new to all of you. If you're able to work together, approach a problem from different perspectives, you're able to then cross that finish line together. It's kind of like a high tide raises all ships situation where it's new information for all of you, but we believe that by working together, by doing these collaborative projects, you all will succeed as one. I mentioned that this is a program for non-business majors. If you are a business minor, that's absolutely fine. You're still eligible for our program. If you're an econ major or a science business major, we have a lot of students that come through with those backgrounds as well. I would say the cutoff for business credits is usually around 18 credit hours. If you have more than 18 credit hours of business as an undergraduate, we would probably recommend a different graduate business program, simply because our curriculum is specifically designed for students directly out of university, average 0 to 2 years of work experience. I would say about 75 to 80% of our students do come directly from undergraduate. And then it's also designed for students who have never worked professionally in a business setting or taken business classes. If you were a business minor, there may be a little bit of overlap, but the rest of the program should be relatively applicable to what you're looking to do after graduation. I mentioned that we have a wide range of backgrounds in this program. A lot of different majors, STEM majors, arts and letters majors, and a lot of different colleges and universities represented as well. You see here, obviously, we have Notre Dame students that want to stay one more year, St. Mary's College, Holy Cross College across the street, but also we have colleges all across the United States. Ivy League schools, West Coast schools, UCLA, Michigan, Penn. We have a wide range of schools represented. I believe with this current class, we have over 35 different institutions represented. Um, I will say for international students as well, we have international students in the program. The number of international students, frankly, is not as large as you might find with other graduate business programs in Mendoza. And that's because we are not a STEM designated program. We do offer a STEM designation in our Masters of Business Analytics program. And so we do find a lot of international students opt for that route. It's something that's important to them. And also, it's difficult from an MSM perspective to predict the market when it comes to finding a full-time position. Um, the MSM program in general in the United States is a relatively new program. We were actually the first school, along with a couple of others, Duke, Wake Forest, University of Virginia, University of Michigan, Northwestern, I believe. We were the first schools to start the MSM program in the United States. This program originated in Europe, more Eastern Europe. You'll find a lot of these programs in Germany, in Scandinavia, things like that. This program is quickly gaining repute in the United States. A lot of businesses know the power of an MSM degree. When it comes to an international applicant, however, it can be difficult to know which companies are hiring full-time and sponsoring visas, especially without the STEM designation. So I'm just being honest with you there. However, every year we have international students that are a part of the program. Every year, those international students are able to find full-time positions, whether it's in the United States or back in their home country or in a different country. So I don't want to deter you. I just want to be honest with you when it comes to that. The way that the program structure is laid out. So I mentioned we are a summer start. We begin mid-June with our orientation week, followed by an intensive 7-week program where you're basically getting the fundamentals of business at a basic level of understanding. And then starting in the fall, we kind of build on that foundation and move forward. So we've split the program up into what we call modules. It's basically the quarter system where you have your first module in the first half of the semester in the fall, and then we have our interterm week that I mentioned. We've used this interterm in a variety of different ways. We want to be aware of what our students are hoping for and also what the market is looking for. So some examples of what we've used this time for in the past has been some deep dives on particular skills such as business analytics or data visualization, case competition prep. We've done some mini capstone projects. We've brought in companies from around the country or local companies when that was allowed. And we sent students out to local companies when that was allowed. This year, we did a great collaboration with some international companies virtually. And basically, they were given a set of data and a problem and said, go fix it. And our students came up with some great ideas. They were able to use some of the marketing stuff they learned in the business analytics stuff. And again, it's a great way to do some hands-on learning as well as application of what you've learned in the classroom. In the spring, same deal, 2-week modules, and that is where you'll find that interterm intensive or the international immersion opportunity. This is an optional trip, so it usually takes place the week before spring break, so that interterm week, and then the week of spring break. These trips are usually around 10 days, although we do find a lot of students that decide to tack on a few extra days of travel because, hey, you're in a new part of the country, why not take advantage of that? But these are optional trips with an additional fee that is attached to that because it is optional. Now, I will say the Mendoza College of Business always does help supplement some of that expense. Every year, the dean's office does kind of help pay a portion of that. However, there is still a portion, and depending on what you're looking to do, how long you're looking to stay, where you're looking to travel, obviously the cost will differentiate, will differ a little bit. So that's just our general layout. When it comes to our curriculum, wide range of subjects. So the more quantitative side, we have accounting, finance, business analytics, and then you'll have more of the soft skills, the qualitative side with management and communications and marketing. I want to draw your attention to the bottom left where you see our Bridge to Success course. This is our signature course that is taught through the Career Development Center, designed for our students to not only be comfortable marketing themselves and creating their own personal brand, but also able to then enter into that recruitment cycle with confidence and competencies so that they can then move forward and get their full-time job offer and after the program is complete. This program is usually taught in the summer with our career coach for the MSM. Her name is Lisa Michaels. She's been with the program for a few years. She's great. She's worked with a lot of companies, a lot of students. She's worked on kind of the more professional recruitment side as well. So she knows what companies are looking for when it comes to students. And she is helping you get ready for that recruitment cycle because depending on what sort of job you're looking for example, consulting, that recruitment cycle can start as early as September. So that's not a lot of time for you to be ready and up to date with your resume, cover letters, how to do virtual interviewing and happy hours and cold calling. She helps you with all of that in the Bridge to Success course, as well as tapping into that alumni network that I mentioned before. She gives you access to the MSM alum, to the Mendoza alum, and that is a huge benefit as a Notre Dame student, as an MSM student. I have found that at almost every company that you're interested or interviewing for, you'll either find someone that went to Notre Dame or Mendoza, or someone who has a close relationship with a person that went to Notre Dame, whether it's a family member or a close friend or a colleague. Again, we are ranked number 4 globally in alumni effectiveness. So that network is key when it comes to you achieving your career goals at the next level. This interterm experience and electives. So we are offering some electives when it comes to the program. It's something that our students in the past have asked for, and we always try to listen to our students and give them the opportunities that they ask for. So, we have this deep dive on campus in the fall. I mentioned the international immersion in the spring, another deep dive, again, for those that don't wish to travel abroad. We have elective options. So our 10 years hence lecture series is always extremely popular all across the college. It's something that our MSM students have the opportunity to take part in. But then we also have other electives. Basically, if you want to kind of overload your schedule and take one class outside of the MSM curriculum, that's absolutely fine. Basically, you would just need permission from your academic advisor and from the professor of that class to get you, to kind of expand and allow you to more customize your journey. We've had a couple of students who have taken MBA level courses or an accounting course. We've had some students who've taken non-Mendoza courses. You're at Notre Dame for a year. If there's something that you're interested in, why not take advantage of all the resources we have available in order to then, get you where you want to go. If you want to take a language class or a psychology class, a lot of those have been open to our MSM students as well. And then we're looking at adding concentrations as well, kind of, specialty tracks in the program. We're still kind of nailing down the specifics when it comes to that. That is something that you won't need to decide on until you enroll in the program. Uh, we're looking at timing in possibly the spring. So the summer, you're getting your foundations. The fall, you're building on top of that curriculum. And then the tracks or the concentrations in the spring will allow you to do, some deep dives or specifications in particular skills. We also, we have other classes that we're looking at electives, some sports management courses. We currently offer a course taught by former Notre Dame women's basketball coach Muffet McGraw that is extremely popular. Our MSM students love that program. Um, and so that is just kind of a brief overview of Interterm. Again, we try to see what students are looking for as well. So you'll get the opportunity to interact with the associate dean that is working with specialized master's programs. You'll get the chance to work very closely with our academic director, Chris Muir, because we want to make sure that you are getting the most out of your journey here at Notre Dame Mendoza. We also have a variety of different student organizations. So the first one I'd like to talk about is our MSM Association. It's basically like student government for the MSM program. We have a variety of different leadership roles, 3 or 4 people that make up the MSMA. They work with organizing community service and student activities and designing class apparel. You're working together with different student associations like the MSA Association or the MBA Association in order to create some joint events, or we're working on kind of a mentor-mentee relationship program with MBA students that maybe have some more professional experience, and you can learn a lot from them as well. There are also student organizations in Mendoza that are open to our MSM students. These are run through the MBA Association, but MSM students are welcome to join. These are just a handful of the various clubs that are offered to our MSM students. Again, it's a great way for you to not only network, but to learn some more skills. We bring in guest speakers, and again, there's a lot of community service opportunities available and various case competitions and things like that. And then I want to mention also, if you're interested in any other club on campus, those are open to MSM students as well. I don't even know how many clubs we have at this time, hundreds and hundreds of clubs available to our students. If there is something that you're interested in, there is either a club that's already offering it or the chance for you to start a new club. I know last year we just started a juggling club, and I believe there was a cornhole club that was just started. We have various singing groups and music clubs and language groups and sports, intramural sports. The Notre Dame marching band, for example, I of course feel very close to. Those opportunities are all available. I think something that sets Mendoza apart a little bit is that we always encourage our students to take advantage and join a couple of clubs. Yes, it is important that you learn the business concepts in the classroom and go forward and work together to get a position. However, we really stress development outside of the classroom as well. This is still a very transformative time in your life where you are not only getting professional skills, but developing interests, hobbies, passions. Who knows? Maybe your time in one of these clubs will allow you to go forward and work closely with someone that you met there, or a new skill that you learn. Maybe you hope to pursue that professionally or make it a part of your career goals. That development is something that is key for our students. And I do see a question here about an African Students Club. Yes, there is an African Students Club at Notre Dame as well. Pretty much any club you think of, there will be a club there for you. The admissions process. So I will be conducting another webinar in about a week or two, doing a deep dive into the application itself. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the application right now, but just a brief overview of the admissions process. So when you apply, relatively straightforward application. A resume, as an MSM student, just a one-page resume is absolutely fine. An essay will give you a couple prompts. You choose one, usually 2 pages double spaced for those essays, but if it's a little shorter, a little longer, single spaced, 1.5 spaced, that's absolutely fine as well. A 4-slide PowerPoint, You will not be presenting the PowerPoints. We just ask you to kind of show a little bit about yourself in a creative way. I love that portion of the application. 2 letters of recommendations. We ask that one of them be from an academic source, such as a professor, an advisor, something like that. When you apply, unofficial transcripts and exam scores are absolutely fine. So for the transcripts, as long as it has your name, your institution's name, the classes that you took and the grades that you received, and hopefully a GPA of some sort. I understand international students have different scales. That's absolutely fine. We can do a WES evaluation on our end to kind of adjust it to the 4.0 scale. We don't need your official transcripts until, should you be admitted to the program, just before you come to campus. And then same thing with our exam scores. We accept GRE and GMAT scores. For international applicants, a TOEFL score or an IELTS score. We are offering a waiver for the GMAT and GRE. You see here, so if you're a Notre Dame undergrad or you graduated from Notre Dame as an undergrad, or if you have a cumulative GPA of 3.5 or higher, we are waiving the requirement for you to take a GMAT or GRE. Now, I get a lot of questions about that waiver. Does it actually, like, is it actually waived, or is it kind of a wink, wink, you should still take the GRE kind of thing? Your application will in no way be negatively impacted by not submitting a GMAT or GRE score if you meet the waiver requirements. So basically, you can provide a GRE score, a GMAT score, if you think that it will strengthen your application. You can provide a test score if you would like possibly more fellowship funding. So we do offer merit-based fellowships with all of our programs at Mendoza. For the MSM program, that fellowship usually ranges between $3,000 and $15,000. Last year, I believe over 90% of our students were offered a fellowship of some sort. In order to be eligible for the fellowship, you just answer a question on the application. On the additional information page, you just select, yes, I would like to be considered for a fellowship. And then should you be admitted to the program, your fellowship offer will be in your admissions letter. Now, if you decide you don't want to submit the GMAT or GRE score, you could still receive a nice fellowship offer. If you then decide to submit a GRE score that you believe will strengthen your application, there is the possibility that you can then receive an additional or a larger fellowship award. It's not guaranteed, but it is a chance. I get a lot of questions about, what is the minimum GPA or what is the minimum GRE score? We look at each application holistically. So there is no minimum GPA, there is no minimum GMAT or GRE. We know that you are more than a test score, you are more than a grade, you're more than a work opportunity. We read every single word of your application, all of your letters of recommendations. So I can tell you that the average GPA of our current class is, between a 3.3 and a 3.4. I can tell you that our average GRE score is a 310. I can tell you that the average range for the GMAT is between, like a 640 and a 710. So those are just general guidelines. If you believe that your GPA is above a 3.5 and it reflects your true capabilities as a student and your community service and your leadership opportunities and extracurriculars also go to show that you're an involved member of the community, I would say go ahead and waive. Don't submit that GMAT or GRE. Again, it won't harm you in any way. There is also a $50 application fee. However, if you use the code IRISHWEB, all one word, all capital letters, so IRISHWEB, no spaces, all caps, that will waive the $50 application fee, just as a thank you for joining me today. And then there is also an interview portion to the application. Not all applicants are invited to interview. Usually, I would say it takes a couple of weeks from the deadline for those invitations to be emailed out. This year, we are only offering Zoom interviews because we're trying to keep health and safety in mind. We have our kind of mini bubble at Notre Dame where we discourage people from interacting with staff at this time. So all those interviews will be conducted via Zoom. After the interview process, it goes to a final evaluation with the admissions committee, and then you'll be able to get your decision after that. You see here our admissions deadline. So our next deadline coming up, February 9th. If you apply by February 9th, you will get a decision no later than March 12th, relatively fast process. If you are an international applicant, please apply by round 3. Um, because of the uncertainty due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of embassies are not open or there's a long delay. With our international applicants, we want to make sure that you have as much time as possible in order to get your I-20s and visas processed so that you can be here by the middle of June. And so if you apply by the St. Patrick's Day deadline, it's possible that maybe you can get your visa in time, but we don't want to stress you out. We don't want to stress ourselves out either. So if you can apply, please, by February 9th, that would be absolutely great. For everyone else, I get a lot of questions. Okay, so why should I apply earlier? Why do you have all these deadlines? Grad school is a little bit different, and especially at Mendoza, we have all of these different deadlines for your benefit, not necessarily for ours. We understand that all of you are very busy. Depending on the structure of your school, you may be on the quarter system, you may be on the semester system, especially this year with hybrid learning and things like that. We want you to be able to apply when you have the opportunity to really sit down, take some time, focus on the application, and submit it. The benefits to applying earlier rather than later. The earlier that you apply, obviously, the more guaranteed seats there are available, and the more guaranteed fellowship money there is available. I don't anticipate that being too much of an issue until the St. Patrick's Day round. After the St. Patrick's Day round, obviously, the closer we get to round 4, since we start the program mid-June, seats, fellowship money become more of an issue then. So applying to round 3, I would strongly encourage that. If you need to wait until the St. Patrick's Day round, that is okay. Please note, in order to apply, we only need your portion of the application. That means we need your resume, your essay, your PowerPoint slides, your unofficial transcripts, and then just the email addresses of your letters of recommendation. You can actually apply to the program before you take the GRE or GMAT, the TOEFL, or the IELTS. Basically, we can't move forward with the evaluation of your application until we receive those scores. However, it kind of reserves your spot in the round, if you will, by applying before you have your GRE test. There is a place for you to put a future test date in your application, and that helps us kind of know when to expect your scores to come through. But we can move forward with the evaluation of everything else and making sure everything is lined up so that once we do receive your scores and your letters of recommendations, we can move quickly with the evaluation process and get you that decision by March 12th. So if, for example, you want to apply by February 9th, but you're going to take the GRE again later, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to wait for the next deadline. We can go forward and process your application with round 3 just once you do receive those scores. And we only, again, need unofficial test scores. So a screenshot or an email version of your scores will be absolutely fine for us to move forward with the evaluation process. If you want to take the GRE later, like in March or in April, if you already have a GRE score and you want to submit that with your application now, you can let us know that you're planning on retaking the test again at a later date. Um, if you want us to hold off on making a decision until we receive those scores, then we can do that. Obviously, we can't make a decision until we have all the information. If you say that you believe your application is strong enough that you want to move forward with the evaluation process prior to you taking that retake, that is also possible. So I would say still apply to the February 9th deadline, put that future test date on there so that the admissions committee knows when to expect your test results. And then hopefully you don't have to wait then the entire, until April 9th to receive your decision. You'll still be able to get your decision relatively soon. It might not be March 12th, especially if you're taking the GRE in March. Obviously, we have to wait for those scores to come in and go through the process, but hopefully we can get much of your application evaluated in time so that you're not waiting too long then for a decision to be released. So hopefully that answered all the questions there. Just a quick recap, and then we'll go into more questions and answers here. So one-on-one career coaching, our Bridge to Success career course, I mentioned that you'll have access to a career coach. She works with you one-on-one to help you look at your career goals, to find out what kind of company you're looking for. It's not uncommon for our MSM students to have no idea what they want to do. That's absolutely fine. A lot of students use the opportunity, the exposure to various business principles to kind of figure out what it is they want to do. And then this program also prepares you for that next step because you have, experience with accounting and finance, business analytics, marketing, management, business ethics. You're able to then pivot. When you're offered a promotion, they maybe ask you to take on some more responsibilities. You have experience doing that. The MSM program allows you not only to get that first job directly out of school, but that next job as well. The international immersion opportunity, it's a great opportunity for students that want to travel abroad and see how business is ran in other parts of the world. We also have the opportunity to pair your MSM with our one-year accelerated MBA program. All students who graduate from the MSM program are eligible for the one-year MBA program. I will say it is very rare for students to go directly from the MSM to the MBA. We always encourage our students to work for a few years and then come back with the experience they gained in the workforce, coupled with their MSM degree, to then get that one-year MBA program. I will say the average work experience for the MBA is around 5 years. So again, it's not impossible to go directly from the MSM to the MBA, but we usually encourage some internships or work experience before then applying to the program. And then that alumni network that I mentioned several times already, extremely powerful and very helpful, not only again with this job or the next job, but your entire career moving forward. Again, as a thank you for joining me today, your application fee waiver on the additional information page, where you'll also find the fellowship question. At the bottom of the page, the code is Irish Web, all one word, all capital letters. And that's it. We still do have time for questions, so remember to please use the Q&A function if you have questions. I'm also available for one-on-one chats. I'm hosting a coffee chat tomorrow. The link should work for that, I'm hoping. So if you have questions that pop up overnight or anything like that, feel free to join me then. As I mentioned, I will be hosting an application Q&A webinar prior to that February 9th deadline. So keep an eye out on your emails for that. It's also listed on our website. But yeah, that's about it. I will go forward and answer questions I haven't yet. So I have a question here about eligibility for the program. Business economics, great question. Yes, you would still be eligible for the program. We've had students that have gone through the MSM program before with very specialized business undergraduate majors. So for example, business econ, the focus of your program is more the economic side, I would say, than the business side. And so as long as you're understanding that, if you took a principles of accounting class or a principles of marketing class. There may be some overlap there at the beginning of the course. We're still teaching the courses at a graduate level understanding though. So as you proceed throughout the course, you will eventually, get new information from those principles of marketing and management and accounting classes. But know that if you took those courses as an undergraduate, there may be some overlap there. Um, Nonprofit management and leadership. Yes, so we do have students that have majored in, nonprofit management leadership that then go forward to the MSM program. I mentioned that we also have our Masters of Nonprofit Administration program. There are a lot of similarities between the MSM and the MNA program. The biggest difference being the MSM is geared more towards students who want to get a position in a for-profit industry, where obviously the Master of Nonprofit Administration, the MNA program, is focusing on nonprofits. So while we both offer accounting classes, the MSM is more of a principles of accounting, whereas the MNA program, you're looking at specifically accounting in a nonprofit. So I would say yes, it kind of depends on your career outcomes, what you're looking to do as far as which program you'd like to apply to. We have students that apply to more than one program. If you want to apply to the MSM and the MSBA or the MSM and the MNA, absolutely fine. You only need to apply once. The application is the same. We just ask that you please email us and let us know, hey, Phil, I went to your webinar. I want to apply to both the MSM and the MNA. That way we can copy over your information. You'll be evaluated by the two programs, but you only have to do the process once. We have a question here again about GRE and stuff. So if we apply by February 9th, take the GRE in February, decide to take the GRE again. You are, yes, okay, so you are allowed to continuously update admissions with your choices. We always appreciate more information as opposed to less information. And yeah, so at any point, if there is an update to your application, such as a new leadership position or a new grade or a new test score, if you just let us know that, we can go in your file and update that after you submit your application. So I would still encourage you to apply by February 9th. Let us know your future GRE test date. And then if you decide to take the GRE again, maybe if you get waitlisted or something like that, that is absolutely fine. Let us know your updated plans and we will go forward accordingly. As far as recruiting events in the fall, this year we had virtual recruiting events in the fall. We have one coming up in a couple of weeks for our quote unquote spring, even though it's winter. I'll be honest, we're still uncertain with in-person events next year. I think a lot is going to depend on obviously, vaccinations and the control of COVID and things like that, whether or not companies feel comfortable coming to campus. We've seen a lot of companies actually transition to preferring the virtual fair landscape. So we will have some sort of recruitment fair in the fall, whether it's in person or virtual or a hybrid, still up in the air, but there will be recruiting events there. We also last year started our first MSM specific recruiting fair, where basically it was with us and a couple of other schools that I mentioned that offer the MSM, and we brought in some unique vendors and companies that were looking specifically for MSM students. So for example, I know the New York Yankees were there. They were a really popular one, and there were some other sports agencies and professional sports like the NFL was there. I believe Amazon was also there, some bigger name companies, some smaller boutique companies, but we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get your name out there and recruit. So we will make sure our students have access to as many recruiting events as possible. Are there any more questions? It is 4:01 at this moment. If you have other questions, feel free again to type it in the Q&A. If there are not and you want to chat with me one-on-one, that's absolutely fine. But if there aren't any other questions, I just want to thank you so much again for joining me. I appreciate your grace with understanding that technology is still something we're working on perfecting, and that I apologize again for sending the wrong link in my communications. I'm glad that all of you were able to join me today. I look forward to seeing your application come through in the near future. And go Irish. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. I hope that you and your families stay safe and healthy, and that you have a wonderful day.